Hello, students. I'm Sandra Aldridge, a member of Port City chapter of the Links Incorporated. And I'm so very excited to read this book, Counting on Katherine, How Katherine Johnson Saved Apollo 13 by Helene Becker and Dal Pumirook. Katherine loved to count. She counted the steps to the road. She counted the steps to the church. The number of dishes and spoons she washed in the bright white sink. The only thing she didn't count were the stars in the sky. Only a fool, she thought, would try that. Even so, the stars sparkled her imagination. What was out there? Katherine yearned to know as much as she could about numbers, about the universe, about everything. Katherine's boundless curiosity turned her into a star student. She was so bright, she skipped 3 grades. She catapulted right past her brother. He wasn't too happy about that. Katherine was a smart cookie for sure. By the time she turned 10, Katherine was ready for high school. But back then, America was legally segregated by race. Her town's high school did not admit black students of any age. Katherine burned with fury. She wanted more than anything to keep learning. There was still so much to know. Count on me, Katherine's father told her. By working day and night, he earned enough money to move the family to a town with a black high school. Katherine loved high school. She was good at every subject, but math was her favorite. She dreamed of becoming a research mathematician, making discoveries about number patterns. That was the foundation of the universe. In those days, though, there were no jobs as research mathematicians, for women that is. Professions mostly available to them were teaching and nursing. So Katherine became an elementary school teacher. She liked her job and she loved the students, but she never stopped dreaming about exploring numbers. In the 1950s, the U.S. government National Advisory Committee on Aeronautics, NACA, hired thousands of new employees. It even started hiring black women as mathematicians. Katherine heard about the mathematician job. Her heart raced with excitement. Perhaps a dream could come true after all. But when she applied for one of the positions, she was told they were all filled. Katherine had to wait a whole year until new spots opened up. Her patience paid off. She got the job. Sometimes, students, you have to be a little patient to get what you want, right? A few years later, the Soviet Union sent a rocket ship into space, launching a space race with the United States. NACA was rolled into a new agency called National Aeronautics and Space Administration. We know that as NASA. Katherine now found herself at the heart of America's space program. She worked as a computer. You see, back then, computers were not widely available. They actually used people to do the calculations. All the computers were women. They were given the tasks that men thought were boring and unimportant. Well, that didn't bother Katherine. She knew that without her contributions, a spaceship couldn't reach its destination and certainly could not safely return home. Now, here's why. Sending a rocket into space is a lot like throwing a ball. So, the ball goes up, but as the energy runs out, the ball pass curves back down towards the ground. Where it lands depends on what angle it was thrown and how high and how fast it flew. Because math is kind of a language, Katherine could answer those questions. How high would the rocket go and how fast would it travel using numbers? And numbers would provide all the important answers. Where would it land? To find out, Katherine plotted the numbers she calculated on a graph. When she joined the point together, they formed a curved line. At one end, the line was the Earth, the time the rocket ship launched, and on the other end, the Earth would be where the ship landed. Katherine's reputation for accuracy and strong leadership skills, she was known and asked for asking plenty of questions, got her promoted to Project Mercury, a new program designed to send the first American astronauts into space. Mercury's mission were going to be dangerous, so dangerous that even the project star astronaut, John Glenn, refused to fly unless Katherine okayed the numbers. "You can count on me," she said. Glenn's spacecraft Friendship 7 orbited the Earth 3 times and returned home safely. Glenn became a national hero. Katherine was promoted again. Now she was asked to calculate the flight pattern for Project Apollo, the first flights to the moon. "Count on me," she said. On July 20th, 1969, Apollo 11 astronauts walked on the moon. Their feat was celebrated around the world. More triumph followed. Apollo 12 rocketed to the moon in November 1969. Could you think about what happened next? Apollo 13 launched on April 11, 1970. But on the third day, Apollo 13th flight, the worst thing happened. An explosion in space. Could the crippled spacecraft make it to the moon? And if it didn't, would it be able to get back home to Earth? The 3 astronauts on board were in grave peril. Commander John Lovell told Mission Control, "Houston, we have a problem." Back on Earth, Katherine Johnson got the phone call. Her flight path calculation would have to be done all over again and perfectly. It would be the toughest challenge of her life. Katherine told Mission Control, what do you think she said? "You can count on me." She rolled up her sleeve, took a deep breath, and began doing the math. She worked hard and fast. A few hours later, Katherine's calculations were finished. The flight path to return home would take the ship around the far side of the moon. From there, the moon gravity would act like a slingshot and zing the ship back to Earth. To get home, the crew of Apollo 13 would have to follow Katherine's course exactly by burning off fuel at precise intervals. If the astronauts made a mistake, their ship would drift through space forever. Well, Katherine waited anxiously to hear the astronauts' report. Finally, it cracked over the loudspeaker. "We've got it. Apollo 13 was back on track." Katherine Johnson had done it. She brought Apollo 13 home. She was no longer the kid who dreamed of what lay beyond the stars. She was a star herself. Counting on Katherine. You know, Katherine actually passed away last year, and in honor of all of her contributions, NASA actually named a space shuttle in her honor. So please, take the time and look up more information about Katherine Johnson, because the world counted on Katherine. I hope you enjoyed this book. Thank you for your time.